How you doing? It's Thursday. Sitting at Walmart. Just want to give you guys a little heads up. Got some questions on why we chose what we chose, and as far as the rig goes and the RV we chose, like the length and the size of truck we chose, why we chose fifth wheel over like a bumper pull, or why we chose didn't choose like a drivable RV. So real quick, I'll give you the heads up on why we chose a fifth wheel, not a towable. So, the fifth wheel, obviously, it's easier to pull a fifth wheel, especially when you're pulling long distances. You get a little bit more room too in a fifth wheel, because a fifth wheel gives you that extra space up in the front over the bed of the truck, and you're dispersing the weight over the rear axle. So it's a little easier for a truck to pull a fifth wheel than it is to pull on the bumper. It's also a little bit easier to turn. It's just a much easier system to pull, safer system. Nowadays, safety is negligible just because there's hitches out there, that anti-sway hitches and stuff like that that you can get that eliminate that sway. But, if you're towing long distances like we're about to, our first pull is probably going to be around 1,600 miles. So, not all at once, obviously. It's going to take us probably a good 8 days to get there. But, towing long distances like that, around, through mountains and stuff like that, you want to, why not be safe, right? And then, why we didn't choose the drivable RV. I'm sitting here in Walmart parking lot, and there's one right over here. You can see it sitting there on the other side of the trees here. So I got that question. We did look at those. They're a little bit more. We weren't opposed to buying one. They're really nice. They got slide outs and everything, just like the fifth wheel. And the reason that we didn't choose that is, we still could pull a vehicle behind them and still have a vehicle to drive around and do what we want to do. I had a Jeep, so we would be able to pull the Jeep around and stuff and park the towable and get out and unhook the Jeep, and then we'd be able to drive into town or go do our excursions and stuff like that. But the problem is that if you have a mechanical issue on the drivable, and they were more, and the dealerships out here were really honest, telling us, which is weird because dealerships being honest just kind of don't go hand in hand, but dealerships were telling us that if you have a mechanical issue on a drivable motorhome, that the warranty, even though you have a year warranty on them, the warranty on them usually takes about a year. Usually takes anywhere from a week to a month for them to repair those. And that's on the mechanical part of it, like engine or something like that. That's not on the RV part of it. So imagine you're on a trip and you have a breakdown in one of those, and even though you have a vehicle that you're pulling behind it, now you have to find somewhere to stay. Whereas if you're pulling your fifth wheel and you have a mechanical issue in like our truck, we have towing coverage on our insurance, and so we could get it towed to a dealership, and the turnaround is usually a day, because a mechanical issue on something like this, usually they have parts in stock, and if they don't, it's usually a day or two. And we have rental coverage, and then we also have like hotel coverage and stuff like that. So if it's a week to a month in a motorhome, spending the money on a hotel room or flights or driving home, I couldn't imagine the cost. So that was kind of what kind of steered us away from that, is having a mechanical issue and something like that versus having a mechanical issue like a motor issue or a transmission issue or something like that in a truck. Just seems like it far outweighed the advantages of having that disadvantage than this, and so that's why we didn't choose the drivable. The other thing is that if we buy a house in the HOA that does allow RVs to be parked in your, you know, on the side or back of your house or whatever, in visible proximity of the property, the majority of them out there don't allow drivable RVs to be parked. They only allow non-drivable RVs to be parked. So they don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. I was a realtor. My wife is a realtor. We've dealt with them. We've looked at HOAs. You can check your HOA. Some do. The majority of them don't. You want to check that. Most of them allow non-drivable RVs. So we chose and we looked at Fords and Rams and Chevys, and I mean, I looked at everything. We didn't choose a Chevy. I looked at the Duramax, the 2500s, the 3500s, the towing capacity of those just were out the door. No offense to anybody. I mean, they're nice trucks inside. They're more for like creature comforts. I mean, they are loaded to the max, but man, the towing ability, the Ram and the Ford just have them hands down beat. So there was no way I was about to spend my money on one of those. Now, they were nice inside, don't get me wrong. It's like a Cadillac, that's pretty much what they are, but man, we want the towing ability. So it came down to the Ford and the Ram. And then, but the bang for the buck on the Ram, that's why we chose the Ram. The other thing is that we chose a Ram over the Ford. Number one is that Ford did not want to budge on a price. Ram, they were willing to work with us. The back seat was very important to us, especially for long hauls, especially for the kids. The new Fords, the 2017 and up, the back seat of the Ford is 49 inches of leg room from the back to the back of the front seats. The only way that you can get the 49 inches in the Ram, I think it's 49 inches, don't quote me on that, look it up, but basically the standard 2017 Ford, the back seat is the same amount of room as the mega cab in the Ram. Now, if you get the non-mega cab in like the 2500 or 3500, you are in the 2016 level Ford F-250, 350 and below. So the mega cab 2500 and 3500 have the same back seat as the Ford F-250 and F-350 2017 and up Ford. So it came down to those trucks because the back seat was enticing for us, for the kids. It's a pretty big back seat. The back seats actually recline back slightly. It actually is, even when you put the car seats in there, because our kids are obviously still in car seats at 4 and 6 years old, if you recline the back seat, they only recline about 2 inches, but it's kind of nice. You can recline that, and these car seats have little bubbles in them to ensure that it's still in the safe zone, and they're still in the safe zone when you do that reclining. There's still plenty of legroom. I mean, you can have the kids in there and you can still walk around back there. It's crazy how much room is actually back there. So there's plenty of room for the kids back there. We have a small dog. The dog bed's gonna go back there on the floor. And there's air conditioning underneath the seats, like blowers and heat. And then there's some in the back on the center console that blow out, so heat, air conditioning. It's a nice truck. So we also chose some other things when, obviously the RV is pretty big. So I have a, I don't know if you can see this here. It's a, like a reverse camera. It's actually not a reverse camera, it's a reverse and monitor. So it's a camera that's on the back of the RV. So I can see what's behind me as I'm driving. And I can also see when I'm backing up when I'm backing up the fifth wheel, I can see what's behind me. So, and then we have the RV 660 Garmin. This thing's pretty cool. It actually, you put in the parameters of your vehicle, so height, weight, width, and length. And when you punch in where you're going, it actually maps out your route based on that information. So on a regular Garmin, it's going to take you the shortest, quickest route, whether you're driving a a Prius or you're driving a big rig, and it doesn't take into account vehicle size. So it'll take you on these little podunk roads with low bridges and stuff like that. And that one, actually, you put in those parameters, the RV660 LMT, it's traffic and all lifetime maps and traffic. You put in those parameters and it actually routes you on the most efficient route for your vehicle based on height and width and length and weight of your vehicle, including elevation. So it takes you on routes that are actually going to help you with gas savings too. So you're not climbing these obscene roads, you're actually taking the most efficient routes as well. So it's actually pretty technologically advanced for Garmin. They've come a long ways. I mean, most of them were just mapping, but this one's actually pretty cool. It's got a pretty good sized screen. I know everybody was talking about these the 770 is the newest replacement, but the 770, you actually have to connect it up to your phone via Bluetooth and stuff like that, and you have to download this app, and we didn't want to have to rely on our phones to be able to run the GPS and run some of the systems in it. This one's kind of like the highest tech you can get without having to connect it to your phone. So that's why we chose the 660 LMT. It's called an RV660 LMT by Garmin. There were a lot of cameras on, let's back up to the RV camera. The reason I chose the Furrion camera, the RV is actually set up pre-wired for camera. Most of them don't come with them, but they come pre-wired, and 99% of them are pre-wired for the Furrion brand. It's Furrion, and the wires already ran. It's literally plug and play and 4 screws, and it took me like 5 minutes to install it. If you buy it at the dealership, it's like $450. If you buy it on Amazon, it's like $200. There's like 2 different versions you can get. I bought it on Amazon, obviously, because I'm not going to spend the money at the dealership. And when we were at the dealership, after we did our walkthrough, they lent me a ladder. I got up there and I put the camera in. It took me like less than 5 minutes. I plugged it in the truck, and as soon as you turn your lights on, it syncs up, and it was ready to go. So it's a nice little camera. So anyways, Furrion camera, Garmin GPS. And then let's see, we got pillows in here because we just cleaned out the RV. We took all the little dress. Most of these RVs, when you get them brand new, they come with like the blankets, and they come with like pillows and stuff, but it's obviously the cheap crap, and we have like better stuff that we use in the house and stuff, so we're just gonna put them in ours. But anyways, I'll give you a little tour of our rig here. So I got the Cummins turbo diesel, and then there's the mega cab. Oh, you can't tell on this side. We'll get back over there. I'll show you what I got for the 5th wheel here, for the 5th wheel attachment. So I got a slider 5th wheel, and I'll tell you why. These mega cabs come with a 6.5 foot bed, and I probably didn't need a slider, but better safe than sorry. Short beds are shorter than 6.5 feet, but anything shorter than an 8-foot bed is considered a short bed. And if you don't get a slider, it's one of those things where if you don't have it, you need it. Or what's the saying? If you don't have it, you need it. It's better to have it and not need it than to not need it and have it, or something like that. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so I got this Companion, B&W Companion, super easy to use. These Rams come with a puck system, and it's super easy to install. You literally you tighten these, you put this in, you turn these levers, clamps down into the bed, and if you ever need to remove it, you just turn these levers and the system comes out. You just to make sure it's actually torqued down into the bed. And it's actually attached to the frame, which is pretty cool. There's no more drilling into it and mounting stuff to the frame, and makes it a lot easier. Ford actually has the same system. It's a slider, so you pull that lever up and the system slides back, gives you 12 inches of more room for turning radius. The reason that you need a slider in these short beds is if you're making really sharp turns, you pull that lever up and it slides your fifth wheel back another 12 inches. It gives you 12 inches of clearance between the corner of your fifth wheel and the cab of your truck, because you don't want to smash the corner of your fifth wheel or destroy your truck by smashing the cab of your truck, because that would probably total your truck. The other thing that I did is I put in a retractable, this retracts right here. It's a retracts bed cover, and this thing is pretty nice. It's super easy to operate. It actually, some of them don't fit with a fifth wheel hitch, but the B&W fifth wheel hitch actually sits about a quarter of an inch lower than the actual retracts, so I can shut the retracts with the fifth wheel hitch in the back. Two reasons why I want to do that is, number one, I don't want anybody to steal my fifth wheel hitch, because that thing's like $1,800, and also I don't, when we go places, we're going to be there for a week or two. I want to be able to put stuff in the back and be able to lock it up. And this thing will hold 500 pounds. It's metal. Not like I'm going to stack stuff on it, but it's pretty secure. It's keyed. I can shut it. My tailgate is secure, so I can put stuff in the back of this when we're traveling to places and we park the trailer and we're going to go hiking or whatever. We're going to go on a drive, or if we're in inclement weather and it's snowing and we have stuff in the back of the truck and we don't want it to get snowed on or rained on or something like that. So the cool thing too is you don't want a folding tonneau cover, because then you're going to have to remove it every time. If you look, the distance between the actual bottom of the fifth wheel and this, if you have a folding tonneau cover and you turn, this is going to hit your folding tonneau cover, so you'd have to remove your folding tonneau cover every time you're going to pull your fifth wheel, and you don't want to do that. Let's see, this B&W Companion actually has a little shock that's built into it that dampens the what you feel on the trailer, which is pretty cool. The other thing, so we got a 38-foot fifth wheel. The reason that we didn't choose a 40-foot fifth wheel is that a 38-foot fifth wheel is less than 40. Why did we want less than 40? Good question. The reason we wanted less than 40 is because a lot of parks don't allow over 40 feet. If you do a search on parks, it's gonna say, do you want to search for parks that are over 40 feet or under 40 feet? And if you do a search for parks that are over 40 feet, it'll probably eliminate a third of them, if not more. So most parks will only allow you to have under 40 feet. If you have under 40 feet, so even if it's by that 2 feet, you'll be able to park your trailer there. It's a 50 amp hookup, so it's got 2 air conditioners. 30 amp hookups only have 1 air conditioner. This one's a 50 amp, so it means it's got 2 air conditioners in it. We'll give you a tour of it when we have it all set up. Anyways, it's got auto levelers. I highly recommend auto levelers. My last travel trailer didn't have auto levelers, and you're out there with cranks and you're having to level it up. And this thing, the auto level system, is amazing. I hooked this thing up in probably 2 minutes. When I unhooked it and I had it leveled in probably 5 minutes with the auto leveling system. It was amazing. Just hit a couple of buttons and it did it all by itself, and within less than 5 minutes we were inside. The slide outs, power slide outs, it was awesome. So the brand that we got is a Cruiser brand. It's pretty nice. It's got a back room for the kids with bunks and a couch. The couch folds out to a bed. We went to this place here in Texas, in Waller, called Toppers. It's a pretty nice place. It's a nice RV. And I don't know if there's anything else I can tell you. I was going to show you the, oh yeah. If you can find an RV that has a system called Trail Air on it, there's 2 different Trail Air systems. They're made by this company called Lippert. And the trailer, this one right here, has a rubber pad. I don't know if you can see it right in the middle right here. There's two different ones. One has an air cushion, and it's like an airbag. This one has a rubber pad. You want to try to get the one with the rubber pad. The airbag, I've heard, deteriorates quickly, and you have to get that airbag replaced. Here they work pretty much exactly the same. What it does is it also dampens how it feels when you have a fifth wheel on. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, you're gonna feel the fifth wheel back there. You're gonna feel it chunking a little bit, but I'll tell you what, you're definitely not gonna feel it as much when you have like the B&W Companion hitch and you have the trailer. It feels like a cushion back there. The other thing that I did on this truck is I put an air ride suspension in the back. I installed it myself. It wasn't hard to do if you're a little bit mechanically inclined and you're not opposed to saying a few cuss words. You can install one yourself. That took me a couple hours. They say they're no drill. They are a little bit no drill. Sometimes they're no drill, sometimes they are a little bit drill. It just depends on the truck that you have. Real easy, it's just two airbags. They go, you can see the little airbag right here. That's the airbag. And there's some little hoses ran, and they're pretty simple to install. It's a lot easier. You don't really have to take the tires off. It's a little easier if you do take the tires off. You take some bumpers out, and then they replace pretty much the bumpers, and they kind of help level your truck out if you're towing long distances. I highly recommend that you get them. There's two things that it does. It's going to level out your truck, so it's going to be a little bit safer on the road, because it's going to give you a little bit better braking, obviously, because your truck's going to be level, so the weight's going to be, evened out on your truck for the front of the, most of your brakes are in the front of your truck, so it's going to even out the braking a little bit, so all the weight's not on the back of your truck. It also is going to level out like your headlights, so if you're driving at night, your headlights aren't pointed up into the moon. Your headlights are actually pointed down on the ground like they're supposed to be. People aren't going to be flashing you and stuff like that. I will tell you, this is 2500. It'll tow, this is one thing I forgot to mention. So I have a 2500. The trailer, the dry weight on this is like 11,000 pounds. Wet, it's like 14,000 pounds. If you do buy mega cab, you go to these places, they're going to tell you, oh, 2,500, yeah, your tow rating is like 17,500 pounds. Sure, it is on a 2,500 four-door crew cab. If you get a mega cab, you actually reduce the towing capacity of your truck because your truck weighs a little bit more with the mega cab. So you're actually reducing the towing capacity with a mega cab by about 1,000 pounds, maybe a little bit more. I think you're actually down to like 16,000 pounds on it's like 15,700 on a mega cab. Maybe it's 16,000. I'll look at the data plate, but make sure you check it out. The bigger your truck, obviously, the less towing capacity you're going to get. As far as like the same model truck, so a Ram 2500 crew cab can actually tow more than a Ram 2500 mega cab, but we're not exceeding our towing capacity with this trailer. Like I said, this trailer is 11,000 pound towing total weight, dry, and 14,000 wet. So even at 15,700 pounds, we're still, 1,700. Even if we're at 15,700 pounds, we're still 1,700 pounds away from our max towing capacity on the Ram. So, yeah, everything, it tows fine. We've pulled it not too far. We probably only pulled it about 60 miles, but man, I can't even feel it on the back, especially with this Cummins turbo diesel. I mean, this thing, it's crazy. The gas mileage on this thing, getting a diesel was probably one of the best things. When you're not pulling anything, I was getting about 20 miles to the gallon, 23 miles to the gallon. Obviously, when I'm pulling something, I'm getting about 9 9 to 12 miles to the gallon. We'll see, probably uphill. With a tailwind, I might be getting about 3. I don't know, we'll see. But you know, there's a few things that you probably want to get when you get an RV. You know, these little, they call them, they're like flying insect screens. These things, you can get them on Amazon for like 10 bucks. These things keep like all your hornets from making nests and stuff inside your RV. And there's little things that you want to purchase that, you know, make RVing a little bit easier. They should come with them. I don't know why they're just selling with them, but then how are they going to make their money, right? It's probably where they make most of their money. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up on what we got. So my mom just got here. Say hi, Mom.
Hi. Who is it?
Nobody.
Oh.
That's everybody.
Oh, hi. I forgot my wallet.
Oh, that's your phone. Anyways, that's it. Next time we'll just give you a tour on, and if you guys have any more questions on why or whatever, why we chose what we did or why we're doing what we do, just ask and I'll see if I can answer. Let me know. Talk to you guys later.